and a very happy and I hope joyous welcome to the world for these young beings that have just come earthside, these manifesting generators. Yeah, a whole lot of little baby manifesting generators have just come into the world. Aren't we all so pleased about that? What are they going to be like, Siddhanta? Well, they're going to have a strong opinion on things. I can tell you that. They're going to be all over the place, right? Every being landing on the planet as we speak. Bang, bang, bang. Manifesting generators. A whole lot of them. Straight off the production line. How cool is that? Now, they're going to have strong opinions. They are here to, bring a new way of being, a design of an organizational being, the channel of acceptance. Although they will accept, okay. In 25 years' time, 20 years' time, sooner, these beings will be picking up a world that we left behind that was nothing short of a shit show, right? Nothing short of a shit show. I apologize on behalf of humanity to every child. I apologize now to every youth for the world that we have given you, that we have handed to you. But all is not lost. Because the world is about to change and we can see it, and us old dinosaurs are ready to stand aside and let the new guard step forward to guide us into humanity's future, which is already here and now, right? Let's get back to these young manifesting generators that have just come into the world. As I said, they're going to be very organized beings, very organized. And with this channel of awakening, well, just think about that. They're going to function on higher principles, okay? They will be committed to higher principles, these beings. And more than likely, they've probably been around the block more than once, okay? The design of a witness. We have a whole lot of witnesses coming into the earth right now, coming earthside, these manifesting generator witnesses, okay? And this brings that abstract understanding to the collective. These young beings give it, 15, 20 years' time. Their impact will be the story they bring, the remembrance, the awakening. And they're not going to do things how we've done it. They just won't. They will do community because these beings, these manifesting generators, have the channel of community, a design of a part seeking the whole. Okay, so, what this is truly about, though, understanding with the Gate 40, is these young manifesting generators, when they come of age, and if they're raised correctly, if they're waiting to respond, and they're only doing what is satisfying for them, they must do what's satisfying for them. If they follow their pivoting abilities that they've been born with, to be able to start this and then drop it and move on to that, and maybe finish that or partway do this and then on to the next thing and move freely as an agent unto themselves, or these young manifesting generators will bring a community like we've never seen before. But they will put themselves first because they have the channel of initiation, a design of needing to be first. These beings will empower themselves. They will all need to be first. Think about that. What's it going to be like when you have a whole lot of these beings coming of age that need to be first? The beings, these young beings being born right now, they need to be first. They must be first. And they'll be recognized for that because they have the channel of recognition. They will share in awareness of emotions in a very different way because of the mutation that's taking place, February 18, 2027. The mutation has been taking place for decades, centuries, and eons, really. It's a part of our evolution we cannot avoid, nor is it avoidable. We evolve as a consciousness, an awareness of itself, through what seems like a very long age and time, and yet when we look deeply into it, we see time as quite illusory. We can move back into memories very, very quickly. Time is really interesting. And when we understand the nature of perspective, which is what human geometry is all about, when we understand the nature of perspective, we begin to see our reality different. We're not looking at the perspective of, like the personality. We're not looking from the place of personality anymore. That has been the case for quite some time, that we've needed to look into the personality. We have all sorts of personality profiling and all of this. But what I've come to understand through, like for these manifesting generator children, if they are raised correctly so that they have the space, so they have the environment, the container in which they are able to, in which they're given and afforded the opportunity to respond, and giving them the patience that is required in order to wait and then respond, what is likely for that manifesting generator is a life of satisfaction. Far less frustration. Frustration is not a bad thing. Once the frustration is there, it is showing the manifesting generator that you're kind of done on that for now. Now it's time for you to move your manifesting generator aura, energy mechanic, into another space. Because we are one. We are a synthesis. Collectively, we are a humanity. And yet we've allowed our personalities to run amok in deciding how that's going to happen. Now, we're not particularly, it's very difficult for us to always, or to ever arrive at a consensus as a human being, as a species, right? And so we can't rely on that. And we don't need to, nor do we need to, because we have now, with human design, which has been around for around 40 years. And so it is now coming out of its wilderness time. That's what I've come to understand as a 6-3 profile projector, that human design is now coming out of the wilderness. I mean, think of it like the Israelites when they left Egypt. When something new comes into the world, there is a time, there is a period in which we require for, it seems to be a 40-year period. You think about Christ was crucified and then the ransacking of Jerusalem in 70 AD, 40 years later. That's why he said, you'll see the end of the age within this generation, 40 years. They were Saturnian beings, by the way. So they didn't live for a long time. Probably if you were living up to 40, you were probably living to a ripe old age back in those days. Now we are Uranian beings. We live for an approximate cycle of 84 years. And these manifesting generators will be able to reach that potential in their life as long as they're waiting to respond. They are very well advantaged to have a life with purpose and high potential. Now they carry the right angle cross of the Sphinx. I mean, how cool is that? It's in there, right? 1-3 profile. So they are going to be quite adventurous. With this channel of discovery, you think with the 1-3 profile, they're carrying as well. This channel of discovery is all about, I love the keynotes here, a design of succeeding where others fail. They're not going to be doing it. I've read for many people that have this aspect in their design. Now, if I put it all together, with this channel that we've just brought to mind now, this is succeeding where others fail. They're not going to be interested in doing the way it was done. That's why they succeed where others fail, because as a 1-3 profile as well, it's foundational for them to trial and error. It's foundational for them to trial and error with a single definition, and in their star core essence being the gate 7 of leadership. Of this, the gate 7, the army, the role of the self in interaction, the point of convergence by design, the need for leadership to guide and order society. These beings born today. Interesting that I'm doing my transit differently. I've been all over the shop. I mean, with the shifts and the portals and the changes that we're going through and what's happening, collectively at the moment, and because I'm aware of it, tracking it, going into it, being with it, as the mushroom said to me one time. I was talking with someone about this yesterday. I said, the mushroom said to me one time, you humans quite funny. You do all sorts of things with life, to life, You're always doing things to it. You're always getting onto it, when I get around to it. Oh, well, let's get over it. Oh, we should get out of it, I'll get off it. All of that. We're always doing things to it. But it said to me, but you never get with it. And I found that quite profound. As I think if you find it profound as well, then you have a level of consciousness which is, helpful for society. Because, the other thing the mushroom said to me as well is the hardest thing, and this is what I was talking about yesterday, I'm just bringing it up. I think it's worth noting. The hardest thing for a human to do, because it's a mushroom, right? It's talking about humans. It's quite observant. I think what it affords for us to be able to do is to observe what it observes of our consciousness field. It seems to know us very well. I can attest to that. But it said to me, the most difficult thing for a human being to do is to allow another human being to be who they are. Now you put those two things together, we're always doing things to life, but we're never getting with life. And then our other dilemma is we're never just allowing beings to be who they are. Well, if we look at these manifesting generators, if we allow them to be who they are, they will live a life, a destiny of great direction, because of this defined G-center in the cross of the Sphinx, the right angle cross. They are, here for personal destiny. They need to be afforded the opportunity to live a life of personal destiny. If they don't get to live that life of personal destiny, they will not fulfill their cross. And their cross is to, bring the remembrance of and awakening to and organizing humanity through the correct recognition of what the collective can be, the new community, the self-organizing collectives that will require for one to put oneself first as the basis for a societal structure. That was quite a mouthful, and don't ask me to repeat that. But that's what I see here in the geometry of these beings that have just come through now. Okay, so happy Earthside to you, girls and boys. Aren't you going to be incredible beings? Now, they can be incredible beings right now. You see what I feel, what I see, what I understand, what I sense is the beings that have been born for quite a long time. I'm now beginning to understand why I've been involved with so many children in my life through my misfortunes. If I read my design, though, it's like, no lack of misfortune and survival through suffering. I just have to fucking accept that. What to do? And it's not because human design said so. I've got 50 years of experience that I can look back and go, I can attest to that. Survival through suffering. Now, the reason I've had, I guess I can look at it now and see the opportunity I've had to help raise 8 different children, 2 of them being my own. Another 3 in which I was in a relationship for around 5 years. I got married as well. And so, again, in the way that I am a 6-3 profile projector, I truly see these children were truly seen in that relationship. In those relationships, they were truly seen and they were guided really, really well. So even though it was for like 5 years or whatever, they were guided beautifully. To the best of the ability I could do. The fact that my relationship didn't last is nothing on them. And now the relationship I'm in now, and I use the word relationship, intently here. Even though myself and Devi have done ceremony and all of that, which is wonderful because that is the way of the cross of planning. But the cross of the Sleeping Phoenix is requiring us. It is bringing us to an understanding of the self as the authority. The self as the authority. So it's far more, you don't, marriage is an institution. Interesting, because in my design, and I have the seven, and my seven is the anarchist. Okay, I can show you here. So I have the seven in my chart, and it's unconscious for me, and I have the line three, the anarchist, the rejection of any institutionalized order, the constant need for change no matter what the prevailing conditions, the drive of the self to express many roles, or the detriment, the nihilistic capacity of the self to deny value in any role. That is absolutely me, unconscious, by the way. Okay, so bringing in that understanding of the seven, for these children is different. Okay, and this is segueing to what I was talking about. When we look at authority, this is the key for this, the cross of the sleeping phoenix age, which is, it is crystallized in February. Crystallized. That is now the new background frequency. And that background frequency supports one that leads themselves. And these beings will do great. The point of convergence by design, the need for leadership to guide and order society. These beings that are being born right now are carrying this. I carry this. And that's why I have a heart for the children. Now, the ones that I want, if I'm going to be shameless about this, but let me finish this piece first. Line 1, authoritarian, the iron hand, both enlightened and despotic. It can be fucking rough. It can, if it needs to be. Now, these beings are single definition manifesting generators. They will get frustrated very, very quickly, so you wouldn't want to fuck with these guys. And they have a strong sense of direction. Happy Earthside, young children. Welcome to the world. Sorry for the world we've given you, and we're excited for the world that you will generate, project, manifest, and reflect into this new age that we are embodying. Because it will be an age of embodiment, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. You see, we're moving into a 6-line age, but that's for another time. So, beings with authority. Now, this is where we must understand. The whole point of why I share this is we can now look at the transits. Well, these beings, this is how we're so affected. If we look at the transits, look at this. I mean, right now, this is the energy. Notice the energy right now. Notice the difference from a couple of weeks ago. Now, any shadows will be around the fears. There's nothing in the spleen at the moment for humanity. For the collective right now, the immune system is completely open. Completely open. There's nothing to give context to. There's no defense system here. So that just leaves the individuals up to the individual. I have the divine spleen, so I'm going to be going through whatever. But, I'm also heavily conditioned by the collective because I'm a projector. Now, this energy of the discoverer, right? This is these beings are being born. This is the personality side, is the transiting energy. And what we see with the beings that were born today, these little manifesting generators. See, we've got the red is the design side, and the white. I've got it in black, so I'm not flashing your eyes with all this white screen. I prefer the black because the blue light. Okay, I'd like to keep it to a minimum if I can. And I don't have blue light blocking glasses on. They are broke at the moment. Okay. We can see here that it's the personality side of these manifesting generators that we're all experiencing on the collective plane right now. The energy that is here right now is truly the energy that these beings will be bringing into the world. But not only that, they have their own defined imprint that they bring, which is the nervous system design side as well. And that's why these beings carry the energy of awakening to oneself in the moment, being super, super present. Okay, these beings will be very present. They won't know what to fear. They won't know what to fear. Okay, because they're completely open spleen and completely open head. They won't know what to think. Okay. Well, sorry, they won't know what's interesting. Okay, it's really interesting because they can find everything interesting, everything and nothing. And they can be very irrational when it comes to fears. Fearful of things is just like, why are you afraid of? What the fuck? Why are you afraid of that? And then not afraid of the things you should be afraid of. Just no context for fear. Well, on the collective level, that's where we're at as well. But, it's different because it's only those personality, the now moment transiting energies. This is the personality side. These are the transiting energies now. Whereas the design imprint in your human design, that as well as your personality, that never changes. That's an imprint that, if you think about it, there was a snapshot taken of you. A snapshot was taken of you in time, right? The cosmos. If we were to take a snapshot, then we can look at your body graph and we can go, wow, look at the look at this. This was you at the time. You become this snapshot. Well, it's not even that really, because we want to go the manifesting generators. Someone that's born, here we go. Here we go. This is you. Whammo. That'll never change. But what we can say about these beings, they've got a lot of definition, right? A lot of definition. They're emotional manifesting generators, so they need to wait extra long. They need that time before they make big decisions. So there could be quite that bit of stubbornness, but they could almost seem like illogical as well, like very, very abstract beings. Heavily kind of like, individuated and very present in the moment, but very abstract, like very connected emotionally. But these beings, they will have the emotional wave. Everyone born after 2027, there's going to be all these variances going on, and how people experience emotion, the emotional field, the emotional plane, the emotional world will be very, very different again. This is why, for me, I sort of look, it's very difficult to be able to predict what the future is going to look like, and the future is already here. It's moving so rapidly in front of us. We can't even keep up with the rapid eye movement of our evolution. We cannot. It's happening so quickly, and that's why for me, with human geometry, I'm beginning to build the curriculum for the future, which will just be very standard for any child to know, be able to look at their geometry here and just know how they function, how they work, because it's not even how they function or how they work, it's their energy. They see the map, they see the energy structures and mechanics there, and then therefore they understand the requirements that need to be afforded to the vehicle, the body, the nervous system, the life itself. This student, this young being, becomes a student of themselves. They see how their energy works, and then they're not going to get involved in things that they're not meant to get involved in. You see, while we're continuing to measure ourselves for what we can do, we have all sorts of issues. We have all sorts of dilemmas for humanity. But because that was great, and especially since the Industrial Revolution, excellent. Yes, everyone has a role. It was wonderful for us to be able to, and it gave us purpose. And it's, oh, look, I'm able to do this, and we got specialized and all of that sort of thing. What's happening here is even a deeper sense of specialization, and then coupled with the understanding of where your mechanics fits best in an environmental situation. Where your mechanics fit in the correct environment, then we don't have restriction, we don't have friction, we don't have resistance. We're going to be understanding human nature far more in a way like we understand electricity, of positive and negative, and current and flow and ampage and all of that sort of thing. As we come to understand the nature of energy, because the emotional wave is actually being moved out of the way a little bit for us. We're not going to be as emotional as such as what we have been in the past, hung up on the emotional ploy and propaganda. We're not going to be so much hung up on that as we are going to be very aware of what's behind the emotional wave. We're still going to be carrying the emotional wave. And anyone that's listening to me right now, is going to be carrying and experiencing. I don't carry the emotional wave. I'm non-emotional. But these beings here do, and today we're all emotional, okay, because this is the transiting energy. If I drop that mandala, when we just come back to the body graph, because we don't need all the complexity, right? The body graph is just to bring all the complexity into a geometry that's more simplistic. My job is to try and make that even more simplistic again, because no one can look at this geometry and go, oh, right. I mean, what we see here is very, very strong. This is collective at the moment. You may be finding that you're truly recognizing the story that's been told to you, and the story that you've experienced yourself, and then the story that you've told yourself. All of that in one heap, you know. And there'll be a good number of us have this support through the South Node and Venus, through the relationships, through your relationships, how your relationships have been, where they've come from. Okay, there's going to be deep recognition and emotional connection around that. This is a wonderful time. I feel like I've been like the Grim Reaper for a very, very long time. Even some people have complained about my transit reports and all that sort of thing. Oh, he swears and he's so fucking angry. I'm a schizophrenic. I'm a shaman. What do you fucking expect? You know? And this is where we're at. I'm an example of a role model. A role model is just someone that is an example to themselves. I'm an example to myself. I'm not here to prove anything. But although I have a defined ego, I do like doing such. So I'm open about it, right? Yeah, a defined ego that goes to the spleen, which is all tribal. This channel of surrender that I have, the design of a transmitter. I have to speak because I've got the 4323, which comes out of the ajna to the throat. I have to tell it's individual, and because I got the channel of the alpha, which is collective. Okay, can you see I'm tribal, collective, and individual in my circuitry here? And so I'm doing all three at once, and that can be jolting for anyone that's not awake or aware. Like, how do we fucking take this guy? He's a projector as well. And a 6-3 profile, completely transpersonal. The reason you can't see me is I'm not here for me. The reason you can't understand me, it's kind of like, those sort of things that, that sounds too good to be true, is I'm not here for myself, completely transpersonal. I remember my second wife said to me when we were just sort of like first talking, she kind of said something that at the time, if I'd looked at the red flag, but anyway, I had to go through what I had to go through, and wonderful human being as well, and all the love and blessings to her, whatever her karma may bring, whatever her dharma may be. I do not wish ill on anyone. All human life deserves dignity and love and recognition. But she said to me, "You're too kind, you're too giving. I would chew you up and spit you out." Now, maybe I should have run at that point. Run, Siddhanta. I was not called Siddhanta at that point. My name was Corey. Well, I was still going through my training as a 6-3 profile. I can look at my life like that and go, well, that was, I still had to go through. And I also was given the opportunity to meet 3 other lovely beings that I'm not saying that I got on with them well at the time, but wonderful human beings that I can look at now and say, well, what a privilege to be part of, that helping that sort of developmental part of their life. It was a heavy trip, man. It was a heavy trip, and I brought some real value. I know I brought some real value to their lives. I can see these instances for where the situation would have been quite dire had I not been there. So that's a good thing. That is a good thing. I can look at those good things. I find myself in a position now that's very quite interesting because I'm being so deeply authentically myself, so very deeply authentically what I'm designed to be, that creates an issue for those that are very much stuck in the idea that, well, this is just the way it's done and this is the way that you do it. I'm an exception to that rule, and I'm happy to be an exception to that rule. And many people will become an exception to that rule when they understand the mechanics of the cosmology that we live in. This time and space that we're moving through is a journey of consciousness itself. Now, it is the mind which is constructed within the sphere of awareness that we are in. We are in a sphere of awareness, which is a self-illusory, self-reflected consciousness. okay? Now, this sphere that we live is what we could call Earth, or our cosmos, our solar system, or whatever. Everything within there is fractal in its nature, and its mechanics are replicable. They are repeatable. The patterns and the cycles can show the nature of what's there. When we come into the nature of what's there, when we see the nature of what is there, we can truly begin to become aware of the story of awareness itself, conscious of the story of consciousness itself. That was quite a ramble, wasn't it? Didn't that just flow out? So these beings, these manifesting generators, they bring in this energy. And what we're experiencing at this time, we've moved into new gates. So these beings are foundational, you see. They've arrived as we've moved into new gates. The gate 7, right now. Authoritarian, this is the energy that we now are experiencing together. And we have the 13 is what's grounding it in. Empathy. So we put those keynotes together. We're looking at leadership through authority, which can be, quite, it's authoritarian. It's energy that's being used, and it's like, no, this is very firm. It's like, this is the way it is. But it's brought with the willingness of the listener. I carry this energy. I have the channel of the Alpha. Universal ideas and values in an ordered framework which inspires humanistic cooperation. When you put it into my design, for me, I'm all about that. Okay, to say, because these 3 children and my 3 other children, beside my first 2 children I had, raising them was amazing, and now another 3 children in my life, and I'm sure there'll be many more, and I'm inspired now. I know, I see. I keep looking back over my life, and I was such a bitter, pissed off motherfucker, right? And I can still be that at times, don't worry. I mean, if I make a wrong decision, that's on me, and I will be bitter, and I can really get wound up. And but looking back, I can see how in seeing how my design was, I've always been one that has been super empathetic towards the other. My plight, my plea goes towards the other. It's just what's best for them. And that's how I feel successful in life. And my perspective, and my variable in human design is survival. I go much better when I just have what I need, no more. When I'm moving through life for survival's sake, I fulfill my purpose. And one of the survival sakes, that because I'm 6'3", so do I move through it for me? No, I do that for the other. That's why I'm building curriculum and all of that sort of thing for the youth now. You think about it, our 14-year-olds, our 13, 14, 15-year-olds, they're going to be picking up the world. We gave them this fucking shitty world, this situation. They're going to be picking up the mess of that in under, 3, 4, 5 years' time. You're talking 3, 4, 5 years' time. Think about COVID when that happened, and here we are right now. If you're not doing something, I won't put a trip on you, but those out there that know they are chosen, those, no, I won't do that one. Those out there that know they have a purpose, that feel it, that are aware of their being here for a higher purpose, because not everyone's here for that. That's why I'm correcting myself as I go. But those that know they're here for that, chop. Okay, fucking get on with it. That's what I'm doing. I've already done 2 beautiful manuals. The first manual I did was aura mechanics. Beautiful, amazing. Anyone can sort of read through that and understand how aura and interaction and the various combinations of interactions that take place within aura. And then my second manual, Living Your Energy, which is geared towards anyone 14 and above, really. I think if you have an intelligent child, you could go 10 and above. Even younger. I've seen children play Origin, which I created, which is very quite complex, and get it. Adults are the ones that are the hard work. But the energy that we have today, let's all sink into this one, is empathy. The ability to relate and communicate with everyone with equanimity. Harmony through affection. a role of openness and listening to others with affection. The politician kissing babies is a detriment, and openness that is never free of motives. So, looking out for that today, those motives, all of that sort of thing. But the main thing is today, let's celebrate these beings that have come in. Happy Earthside Day to you, girls and boys, single definition, investigating martyrs, foundational experimenters, with this a key to our direction, awakening humanity by structuring, by bringing order to the now moment, by understanding the past so deeply, understanding the story and what that means for us, but knowing that we have to lead ourselves first in order to be able to build communities that are recognizable by their fruit, that what comes out of these communities are self-evident, that they are evolutionary in their approach, aware in their application, and dedicated in their love. Well, I hope you enjoyed this transmission today. It has been quite a time, and I'm sure you've been feeling that. And I hope this brings you some, encouragement in some way. I don't think we need to come in and pat each other on the back, oh, there, and all of that. It's going to be what it's going to be. But the energy, we can look at it. The mechanics, we can see them. The awareness, we actually experience it. It's all there for us. The old structures are evidently falling away. We must prepare, and for those that feel they are here for a higher calling, really need to get on with the work. It doesn't have to be out in the field right now. Now's the time to do the alchemy. Now is the time to really put all those pieces together so that when it's lights, camera, action, boom, it's there. It's all there. You step out fully clothed. You've done your dress rehearsals in your world. You've done the required time to know the script, and you step out onto that stage. What a movie. Anyway, as always, don't be a dick. Let there be light. And until next time, bye for now.